The text message lit up my phone at 3 a.m. Sign the divorce papers tomorrow. No property claims, no alimony. Take it or I'll make you regret ever meeting me. I stared at the screen, my hands steady despite the late hour. After 15 years of marriage, this was James' idea of an ending. A threatening text message while he lay in bed with his mistress. My name is Olivia, and at 42, I never expected to be starting over. But here I was sitting in my home office surrounded by the evidence of my husband's betrayal, carefully collected over the past year. I typed back a simple response, check your email. Within minutes, my phone exploded with calls. I let them go to voicemail, each one more desperate than the last. James's voice grew increasingly panicked as he realized what I'd sent him. Dozens of videos from our home security system, all carefully timestamped and archived. Olivia, pick up the damn phone. He shouted in his latest message. You had no right to record private conversations. But I did have the right. It was my security system, installed in my home after I first suspected something was wrong. The cameras had captured everything. James and his mistress, Vanessa, planning how they forced me out. Their careful schemes about hiding assets, their discussions about making me seem unstable to gain an advantage in the divorce. She'll never fight back, Vanessa had said in one clip, lounging on my couch while I was supposedly at my sister's house. James says she's too afraid of confrontation. They'd underestimated me. Badly. Another text from James. Delete those videos now. You're violating our privacy. I smiled, remembering all those nights I'd spent cataloging their conversations, building my case while they thought I was oblivious. James had always treated me like I was naive, too trusting. He never realized that trust and stupidity aren't the same thing. The next morning, I walked into our kitchen to find James waiting, his face flushed with anger. Gone was the confident man who'd threatened me via text just hours ago. In his place stood someone who finally realized he wasn't in control. What do you want? He demanded, his voice hoarse. I poured myself a cup of coffee, taking my time to respond. I want what's fair, James. Nothing more, nothing less. Those recordings won't hold up in court, he said, but his voice wavered. My lawyer says. Your lawyer hasn't seen them yet, I interrupted calmly, but mine has. Along with the offshore account statements, the property transfers to Vanessa's name, and the correspondence with your banker about hiding our joint assets. His face went pale. How did you find out? I'm not the helpless housewife you and Vanessa think I am. I've known about your affair for a year. I've watched you plan, scheme, and lie. I've documented everything. She's different, James said, his voice softening. She understands me. We're in love. I couldn't help but laugh. Love? Is that what you call plotting to leave your wife destitute? Planning to claim I'm mentally unstable so you can take everything we've built together? He slumped into a chair, the fight draining from him. What do you want? He repeated. I want a fair division of assets. I want the house you promised Vanessa she could redecorate. I want half of everything you tried to hide. I took another sip of coffee, and I want you to remember something, James. You didn't marry a fool. You married a woman who loved you enough to trust you, but was smart enough to protect herself. My phone buzzed again. Vanessa this time. I showed James the screen, where she was demanding he handle me before I ruined everything. Her messages grew increasingly frantic as he didn't respond. She's 23, James, I said softly. Did you really think she wanted you for your charm? Or was it the lifestyle you promised her, the lifestyle you planned to steal from me? He buried his face in his hands, and for a moment I saw the man I'd married 15 years ago. But that man was gone, replaced by someone who'd rather threaten and scheme than face the consequences of his actions. I'll have my lawyer send over the revised divorce agreement today, I said, standing up. One that reflects a fair division of everything. All the properties, accounts, and investments, including the ones you thought I didn't know about. As I walked out of the kitchen, James called after me, How long have you been planning this? I turned back, meeting his eyes. Since the day you started planning against me. The difference is, I did it to protect myself. You did it to destroy me. Remember that when you're signing the papers. The look on his face told me he finally understood. He hadn't married someone he could bully into submission. He'd married someone who knew her worth, and had proof to back it up. Part 1 ends with me walking away, leaving James to face the reality that his carefully constructed plan had crumbled. His phone kept buzzing with Vanessa's messages, but we both knew everything had changed. The next few weeks would reshape both our lives, but only one of us was prepared for what was coming. The next few days unfolded like a carefully choreographed dance. James moved out, taking only his personal belongings after my lawyer made it clear that removing anything else would result in immediate legal action. The security cameras captured him explaining to Vanessa in our driveway why they couldn't start moving her things in as planned. "This is ridiculous," she shouted, loud enough for the cameras to pick up. "You promised me this house." You said she'd be too scared to fight back. I watched the footage later that evening, noting how James seemed to age years in just days. The confident man who threatened me via text was replaced by someone who jumped at every email notification, wondering what else I might reveal. My lawyer, Diana, called with an update. James' attorney reached out, she said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "They want to discuss a settlement." "I'm sure they do," I replied, thinking of the videos I hadn't sent yet. The ones showing James and Vanessa discussing how they claim I was unstable, planning to use my grief over my mother's recent death against me in court. "They're offering a 60-40 split in his favor," Diana continued. "Should I tell them where to stick that offer?" "No," I said, surprising myself with my calmness. "Tell them we'll meet. I want to see their faces when we play the rest of the recordings." The meeting was set for the following week. I spent the intervening days organizing more evidence, bank statements showing suspicious transfers, text messages James thought he deleted but had backed up to our shared cloud account, photos of him and Vanessa using our vacation home when I was supposedly there alone. My sister Kate came over the night before the meeting, bringing wine and her signature straight-talking support. "How are you really doing?" she asked, studying my face carefully. I considered the question while sipping my wine. "Honestly, I'm angry. Not about the affair, that's on him. I'm angry that he thought so little of me, that he and his girlfriend sat in my home plotting to destroy me. And now I'm ready to show them exactly who they underestimated." The settlement meeting was held in Diana's office. James arrived with his lawyer and, surprisingly, Vanessa. She perched beside him in designer clothes I suspected were purchased with money from our accounts. "Before we begin," James's lawyer started, "my client is willing to be generous despite the unconventional surveillance methods used." Diana smiled, opening her laptop. Interesting choice of words. Before discussing generosity, let's review some footage from last month. The color drained from James's face as Diana played a video of him and Vanessa in our home office, going through my personal files. "The insurance policy has to be here somewhere," James was saying in the footage. "Once we have that, we can start building the case about her mental state." Vanessa shifted uncomfortably in her seat as her voice filled the room. "What if she fights back? She seems different lately, more confident." "She won't," James had assured her. "She's too afraid of being alone. Trust me, I know how to handle her." Diana paused the video. "There's more. Hours more. Should we continue?" James' lawyer cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should discuss a more equitable distribution of assets." "Perhaps we should," Diana agreed, pulling out a thick folder. "Let's start with the offshore accounts, specifically the one in the Caymans where Mr. Harrison has been transferring joint funds." I watched as James's carefully constructed world continued to crumble. Vanessa's designer heel tapped nervously against the floor as Diana methodically laid out every scheme, every plan, every betrayal. "A 50-50 split of all assets," Diana stated firmly. "The house goes to my client, and Mr. Harrison will retract any statements suggesting mental instability on Mrs. Harrison's part." "And if I refuse?" James asked, but his voice lacked conviction. I spoke for the first time since the meeting began. "Then we go to court, and I play these videos for everyone to see. Your colleagues, your friends, your family. Everyone will know exactly what kind of man you are." Vanessa stood up abruptly. "This is insane. James, you promised me." "Sit down," James hissed, but she was already heading for the door. "You said this would be easy," she shouted. "You said she was weak." The door slammed behind her, leaving a heavy silence in the room. I met James's eyes across the table. "Sign the papers," I said quietly. "End this now, and those videos stay private. Drag this out, and I'll make sure everyone knows the truth." His lawyer whispered something in his ear, and James nodded slowly, reaching for the pen. As he signed, I realized this wasn't the victory I'd imagined during those long nights of collecting evidence. It felt more like the end of a long illness, painful but necessary for healing to begin. Part 2 ends with James signing the papers, his hand trembling slightly. The man who threatened me just days ago now couldn't even meet my eyes. As I walked out of Diana's office, I heard Vanessa's angry voice in the hallway, demanding explanations James couldn't give. But for the first time since discovering the betrayal, none of it mattered. I was free. 6 months after the settlement meeting, I stood in my newly renovated kitchen, sipping morning coffee and watching the sunrise. The house felt different now, lighter, peaceful. I'd repainted every room, replaced the furniture they plotted on, and transformed the space into something entirely my own. The last box of James' remaining items sat by the door, ready for his sister to collect. I hadn't seen him since the settlement, though I'd heard plenty through the grapevine. Vanessa had left him 3 weeks after the meeting. Once she realized the lifestyle he promised her wasn't materializing, she'd moved on to someone else, someone whose promises she hadn't yet learned to doubt. My phone buzzed with a text from Kate. "Have you seen the email?" I hadn't checked my personal email yet, but when I did, I understood her message. James had sent a lengthy apology, the kind that comes after months of reflection and regret. "I know it's too late," he wrote, "but I'm sorry for everything. Not just the affair or the divorce, but for underestimating you, for thinking I could bully and threaten you into giving up what was rightfully yours. You deserve better." I deleted the email without responding. His apology might have been sincere, but it wasn't something I needed anymore. My healing hadn't depended on his remorse. Later that afternoon, I met Kate for lunch at our favorite cafe. She'd been my rock through everything, and now she was helping me plan my future. "So the house in Provence?" she asked, grinning over her salad. "Have you decided?" I smiled, pulling out my tablet to show her the listing. The small villa I found would be perfect for the writing retreat I'd always dreamed of running. James had laughed at that dream, called it impractical. Now, with my share of our assets and newfound freedom, it was becoming reality. "I'm making an offer tomorrow," I said. "The realtor says it's perfect for small groups, and the advance bookings are already coming in." "Look at you," Kate beamed. "From collecting evidence to collecting dreams, I'm so proud of you." "I learned something through all this," I said, thinking back to those dark days of discovery and planning. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to our best decisions. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a call from Diana. "Just wanted to let you know," she said when I answered. "James, the lawyer, reached out. He's contesting the offshore account split." I felt a calm settle over me, the same calm I felt when responding to his threatening text all those months ago. "Send him the video from March 15th, I replied. "The one where he and Vanessa discuss hiding those specific accounts." Diana chuckled. "Already done. I don't expect we'll hear any more protests." After lunch, I walked through the park where James and I used to spend Sunday afternoons. The autumn leaves were turning, painting the world in warm golds and reds. A year ago, I'd walked this same path in tears, having just discovered his affair. Now, I walked it with purpose, my head held high. My phone buzzed again, a message from James. "My lawyer says to drop the contest. You really did think of everything, didn't you?" I thought about responding but decided against it. The time for conversations between us had passed. Instead, I opened my laptop at a nearby cafe and finalized my offer on the Provence villa. That evening, as I sorted through old photos for my upcoming memoir writing workshop, I found our wedding picture. We looked so young, so hopeful. I didn't feel sadness looking at it anymore, just appreciation for the journey that had brought me here. Kate called as I was making dinner. "James's sister picked up his box," she reported. "She said he's moving out of state. Apparently, his reputation here is pretty much destroyed." "That's not my problem anymore," I replied, and I meant it. The truth was, I didn't need to see James face consequences or hear his apologies. His betrayal had taught me something invaluable, that I was stronger than anyone, including myself, had believed. Every scheme he and Vanessa had plotted had pushed me to think smarter, plan better, and value myself more. As I finished my dinner on the patio, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors, I felt profound gratitude. Not for the pain or betrayal, but for the woman I'd become because of it. The one who didn't just survive threats and manipulation, but who turned them into stepping stones toward a better life. My phone lit up with a confirmation email. My offer on the villa had been accepted. In the reflection of the glass doors, I saw myself smile, and it reached my eyes. James had threatened to make me regret ever meeting him, but instead, he'd made me grateful for finding my own strength. Sometimes the best revenge isn't in the evidence you collect or the battles you win, but in the life you build from the ashes of betrayal. Mine was just beginning, and it was more beautiful than I'd ever imagined.